Hello everybody and welcome to Great Leveler Gaming. I'm the Great Leveler and today we're here with the first ever episode of Game Fights, the series that debates those all-important gaming related questions and finally answers them. Questions such as which games have the best weapons, or which game has the best live adaptation, and many more questions as the series progresses. Now there's not going to be any actual fighting in this series, so sorry if the title misled you, but calling it Game Nerds Discuss Nerd Facts in order to win nerd points doesn't have the same ring to it. Now the way this game's going to work is I will be acting as moderator. I'll be posing 3 questions and both teams will have up to 2 minutes each to give me their answers and then a further 5 minutes to argue amongst themselves in order to convince me that they have the right answer. Now, due to COVID, and who am I kidding, the fact that we're all in our 30s, it means it's very difficult for us all to meet up online, let alone in person. So that means I'm not going to be joined with Steve and Ryan live in the studio, but I will have representatives for them. Over to my left, we have Grogu representing Ryan, and over to my right, we have Sam Fisher representing Team Steve. Now, is this the most professional and mature way to go about not having them here in the studio? No, of course not. It's ridiculous and childish, hence why we went for it. So I hope you guys enjoy this series. That's the concept. Them's the rules. So, hello Ryan.
Hello.
Hello Steve.
Howdy.
Alright, so we're going to jump straight into this. So first off, we're doing it alphabetically, so Ryan's going to be going first for the first 2 minutes. And yeah, let's have fun guys, let's crack on. So first question, who would win in a fight between Sam Fisher and Solid Snake? So Ryan, you have up to, you don't have to use the full 2 minutes, but you have up to 2 minutes to give us your answer and why. We've already, just before we get into this guys, we've already discussed, because there's only one or the other, both have discussed before the video which character they want. Ryan, who did you go with? You went with Solid Snake, didn't you?
Of course, Solid Snake.
Alright, so Solid Snake, 2 minutes as to why he would win in a fight against Sam Fisher. Go.
Because he's badass, basically. He's been around a fair old time. I think his first showing were back in 1980s. And apparently, according to good sources, he's a clever little chap. He has a really good IQ as well, which I think in certain situations, that's what makes him badass. He's got the gadgets. He can take on vampires. He can take on people with psychic powers that make your VAD vibrate across your living room floor. Yeah. He also takes on Metal Gears, which are massive 60-foot robots. And he can also cloak. He can smoke cigarettes.
I love these arguments.
He can hide in lockers. But yeah, I just think he's, as characters go, I don't think anyone that played Metal Gear didn't appreciate how good he were. He's just a really awesome dude. Obviously, depending on which games you start off with, you're playing stuff, he has certain perks or not perks. He's just not perks as such, but they're just like really good soldier perks, and he don't rely on much else other than like his combat and his trusty darts, which are useful to make enemies fall asleep. He's just the game series in itself for me is a console seller. I don't think many games you buy a console for, but I do think Metal Gear is one of them when it was like an exclusive at the time. And I do think that Solid Snake as a character is just, he's up there with top of him. Yeah, that's my argument. Good. I think he's a clever athletic chap who can also speak more than one language, by the way.
Yes, he can. All right. Well, that was Ryan's opening statement, as we're going to call it. I think it was a pretty decent opening statement myself. Steve, you're going to have to do something impressive to convince me. So you've got Sam Fisher. Are you ready for your opening statement?
I mean, for a start off, Tom Clancy's involved in this, and Sam Fisher, if you look at his training background, he's all over the Navy SEALs, he's in the CIA, he's done his time in pretty much the top ranking military elements of America. In terms of his stealthing about, he just would nail Solid Snake all over the place for sneaking. Because he don't use cardboard boxes for a start. Actually uses the rafters in the environment and don't just sit there pretending for guards to walk past him. Actually gets out of the way, gets in good positions to stealthily take people out. There's none of this rocket launchers or guided missiles that go about the place alerting everyone to where he is. It's all full on sort of not even leaping, sort of stealthing around, hanging off pipes, dropping down, smashing somebody, and off they go. And yeah, to be fair, you're right, the Metal Gear series started in '87, whereas Xbox only started when it started on Xbox for Splinter Cell in 2002. But we still, if you look at the games that they've been in, Sam Fisher's been in 7 with an 8 currently pending, whereas I believe Solid Snake's been in around about 6 Metal Gears so far. If you follow, depending on which Kojima timeline you follow, that's where you're looking at. But I just think for the overall training, the overall stealth ability, and the fact that he's not a clone out of a test tube, you know, that's always something that goes in your favour. That's why I just think Sam Fisher would just stealthily absolutely own him.
Okay, wow, right, that was really good opening discussions from you both. Really happy with how this is going. So now is the chance for you to both just debate with one another and try and convince me why. I mean, they were both pretty decent arguments, in all honesty. Now you've got to try and convince me that yours is right and the other person's wrong. So you've got 5 minutes to try and convince me. If you've said everything you need to say, then just say case closed, and we'll leave it at that. Let's crack on with the discussion. Fight.
So there was mention about Sam Fisher being a bit sneaky. I think Solid Snake's up there with sneakiness as well. Plus, I think his mechanics are better for peering around walls and knocking on walls to distract enemies. I think that's a good little perk for distraction. And he can also dangle off ledges, chuck people overboard.
I mean, there's all good in going, I can knock on a wall. But I mean,
I love that argument.
The FBI skills and sort of the tools and tricks and gadgets that they're going to have are going to be able to fool and lure guards far easier than a little tippy-tappy on a wall.
He also has his weapons, and cardboard boxes do come in handy. But yeah, I do think putting his sneaking skills up to how good they are. He's crawling. You can sneak up behind him. I just think. I know his training might not be this, and this, or as American as Sam Fisher, but that's definitely not a bad thing.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that his stealth skills are crap by any stretch of imagination. I'm just saying they're not as good as Sam Fisher's, because he can do all the dangling and all the crouching and all the crawling, as well as do it on the ceiling and going about on there to drop down and pilfer. Where, you know, it's I just think he would have that edge. He really would.
But is the piping not to do with environments? If there were more pipes in Metal Gear, would our Solid not be able to slide down some pipes?
Well, he just uses not shafts. What's the right word? Like vents. He just uses them.
Whereas sliding down a shaft.
Well, if you look on the right website, you're probably going to find it.
Oh my god! Now we know why he's called Solid Snake.
Well, there you go. I mean, if that wins the argument, by the way, you know, I mean, God help anybody.
So, okay, we discussed the stealth thing.
Plus, I think, obviously, that's the game type more than the character. I think probably Splinter Cell's more based on stealth, where Metal Gear's more based on action stealth. That's why you have all these epic boss fights and stuff. But as characters go, I sort of think that yeah, our snakes. It's just more experienced, and
So
I
what
think,
more about the fighting styles? Because you've not really said much on their fighting styles. They're only good hand to hand. What about? We've talked about how good they are with stealth, but let's hear a little bit more about their fighting and not grasping hard shafts.
But I think, again, it's one of these things where, yeah, they're both fairly adept at hand-to-hand combat, but in terms of the training that Sam Fisher's going to have over Solid Snake, considering all the different stuff, like the close quarters stuff, in terms of just getting around and just utilising the area to actually get the job done, I think can do it more effectively and more efficient than Solid Snake could.
yeah, but yeah, it's well, it depends.
Oh, Ryan,
It all
you're not
depends.
convincing me here. It all depends. Depends on what.
Depends on who's controlling him.
I mean, it's a fair point. I'm not gonna lie. If, for example, a child was controlling him, then yeah, maybe. But you know, to
Okay.
me, it's just with the tools available to him and the gadgets. As long as I mean, I know you mentioned the environmental side, but still, it's part of that. So I think it would give him the edge.
I just think it's just if trading close quarter combat, and I just think you have a lot. Well, obviously because it's more like I said, an action-packed game, you have more option to use it because some of these epic fights require you just to do your combat. You're not relying on sneaking around a corner to just eliminate someone. You have to actually go hand to hand against some other dudes that are really good at hand-to-hand combat. And I just think that makes him better because he's got to be up against these foes, not just terrorists.
It is though, but you don't need hand-to-hand combat if you're that good at stealth as to what Sam Fisher is.
Okay. Right, well, that was the 5 minute allotted time. That was a really good discussion. I'm surprised it touched more on Snake's CQC abilities. And I'm surprised Steve didn't point out that Solid Snake usually just does punch, spinny kick. But all in all, that was a good debate. I was actually firmly on the side of Solid Snake, especially after Ryan's opening argument saying about how he took on Metal Gear and stuff like that. But I have to say, Steve, that you convinced me with that. Yeah, I think you convinced me. I'm going to.
What shafts?
No, just with Sam Fisher's stealth abilities and the fact that you debated him really well, I'm going to have to give that point to Steve. So that is 1 point to Steve. So sorry, Ryan. Solid Fisher.
Oh shit!
Solid Snake
Solid Fisher.
lost to Solid Fisher. The next clone in the Metal Gear franchise. No, Sam Fisher wins over Solid Snake. There we have it. Wow. So for the second question, this is best power-up from a game to have in real life. Now, just before we get into this question, guys, I just want to point out that both Steve and Ryan know these questions beforehand. They've both told me what their answer is, so that I make sure that they're not picking the same one, and to make sure it's valid. For example, it's got to be a power-up from a game. You can't just say a random power-up like, I don't know, invincibility, because that's what one of them originally picked before changing their mind, because it wasn't from a specific game. If it had said the invincibility star from Mario, we've got pros and cons from that. So it has to be from a specific game. It can't just be a power-up. So with that in mind, best power-up from a game to have in real life, and this time we're going to go with Steve first. So Steve, what is your answer?
I mean, it's not going to come to a shock for anyone that knows me that it's from Legend of Zelda, let's be honest. But it's, whether you want to class, there's probably going to be an argument on this, but the fairy bottle, whether it's a fairy or the bottle, whether you class them as two separate power-ups, is a different matter. But it is literally not an invincibility, because you can cough it and die, but then you're going to come back to life. So it's, obviously, if you only have one, it's one of these where you can probably have a little bit of a second go and be a bit daring with your life. Or if you just felt like, you know what, I want to know what it's like to fall off a building, let's give it a go.
So I'm not really clear on the Legend of Zelda series. I've only really played Ocarina of Time. So what does the fairy actually do then? What's its actual power up?
It basically, if you die and lose all your hearts, you're then automatically resurrected.
Right, yeah, got you. That's what I mean, because I remember from Ocarina of Time you got a fairy and it would just give you an extra heart, so this is like a resurrection almost.
Yeah, so there is 3 fairies knocking about, especially in Ocarina, that give you additional powers and hearts and things like that, whereas you can actually capture fairies in a bottle.
Yeah.
And you can carry them on you, and if you do die in a dungeon or if you die just in the world of Hyrule, it will restore your health without. So it's like a second wind as such.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
It just be. I don't know. It's just one of these things. It's like for some people, there are some mad people out there that think, I wonder what it's like to get shot or jump off a building.
Yeah,
and
some people do it.
You can't. Yeah, realistically, you can't do it. With that, you could. So then YOLO turned into YOLT. You only live twice.
Okay, all right, like that. Okay, so that was Steve's opening argument. So Ryan, are you ready with yours?
Indeed.
All right, here we go.
So mine is from Mass Effect, and it's the cloaking device. Obviously, you can have different sort of, what's the word, like a class. So you don't have some classes it's weaker, other sort of classes you can upgrade it and stuff. But the cloaking device also comes for like an attack. So obviously it's good for, obviously in game it's good for, obviously if you need to if you're taking too much flak, basically you can sneak off, restore some health. Plus you can also vanish, and then you can come back with a counter attack and blow all these little numpties up. But in real life, bearing in mind obviously this version that I'm on about, it lasts for about 30-40 seconds, which isn't a massive amount of time, but in real life it's good enough just to sneak out occasionally, sneak round back to some certain places and come back with certain goods.
Yeah, you can have a cardboard box handy, yeah.
And a cardboard box would be great. Plus, it'd be really awesome for playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
And it's obviously when you've got kids and stuff, you have to keep them entertained. So if you can guarantee that you can cloak for up to 30 seconds and you can vanish in that room instantly, you'd be very good at hide and seek. Plus, you'd make quite a bit of money from all these TV shows and magic shows and stuff. And I do think it's in game. It's just a nice little respite, because obviously sometimes it's in certain games like Mass Effect you do get absolute bombarded. It's in other games as well, like your Ghost of Recons or whatever. But it's in Mass Effect. I just felt it was a good way to get out. Plus, it was an attack as well. It weren't just a defensive thing. But I just think in real life, I just think. It'd be good just to vanish for a period of time, just for your own pleasure.
All right, well, there we go. That was Brian's opening statement. So we both had it. Steve has a resurrection fairy, and Ryan has the cloaking device from Mass Effect. So now they have to convince me why theirs is better to own than the other person's. Let's crack on. You've got 5 minutes. Fight!
To be fair, no,
argue. There's no politeness here. It's a fight. Come on, get in there. Go on.
I'm just going to actually say, you know what? Your idea is actually brilliant.
No,
it is. It really is. But as much as it's good, it's like it's one of these things where you can disappear for 30 odd seconds. You can pull little magic tricks, but there's just that level of not immortality, but it's like the holy grail of life where you can sort of live forever, and to a degree, if you did have more than one, you could effectively live forever. So it is one of those where I think that's one of the reasons why it would trump effectively a magic trick.
Ooh.
Yeah, but would you want to kill yourself on a daily basis to use it? Plus, there's a lot of extra lives in this. Like, for example, you could have said green mushroom from Mario and just bash your head on a box until loads of green mushrooms popped out and had 99 lives.
There is that, but I don't really want to start this level again. You know what? I mean, 36 is going all right for me at the minute, but I definitely don't want to start that level again. Whereas a fairy is immediate, and it's straight away. I mean, if we're talking about funny little tricks, that's a humdinger of a trick. I mean, don't get me wrong, shooting yourself in the face at a kid's party and then resurrecting, slightly traumatic for the kids, I'm not gonna lie, but what a hilarious story later down in life.
No, I think that if you had that, people would be dubious to use it. Where mine's more. Yours is a bit doom and gloom, but mine's a full-on party trick, and it's more. I think if you had a room full of 30 people that could cloak, that'd be awesome.
Well, it depends if it's doom and gloom.
All but one.
I mean, just think of the actual practicalities in, say, for some form of war environment, where you've got someone.
Hitler will still be around.
I mean, just for example, you think, right, I'm gonna nail Hitler here. You can just walk up to him with a bomb, blow both of you up. You'll be fine. He won't.
But you won't see me because I'm cloaked.
So Steve's advocating for suicide bombing. Let's just get that clear.
Hey, hang on. It's for a good cause. Let's not go down that route.
Oh my god. Okay. Any more to add on to that?
No, I'm just looking forward to my point.
I mean, I think I've just crapped out at suicide bombing if I'm totally honest at this point.
Yeah, honestly, okay, we'll wrap that one up there then. I think I've come to a decision, that definitely, I'm not trying to just prolong it, because if Steve got this point, I would still do the third question just for, so Ryan can win a bonus point just for pride. But I am absolutely giving Ryan that point, basically because he dubbed Steve's power up as a doom and gloom one. I thought it was a really good argument. Although, Steve, you could have put that, they could have started a new religion based around you, because we do know that happened against one guy who resurrected. But you didn't use that one. Steve got, so I am giving that point to Ryan. That was a really good discussion, and I think it was a really good conclusion. So, kudos. So that is 1-1. So we're on to the tiebreaker question. So the last question then is best adaptation of a game. Now this doesn't have to be live action. I was originally going to put live action, and I was going to put live action film, but we've got great TV series now such as The Witcher, and there's even an anime version of The Witcher as well, which was really good. So I've just kept it as the best adaptation, but it had to be a game first. Ryan initially was going to select GoldenEye, but that was the best game adaptation of a film. That would have been an instant point anyway, just because I can't argue with that. But no, it has to be the game first, and then the films come afterwards. So, best adaptation of a game. So Ryan, you get the opening statement. So you've got 2 minutes again. You don't have to use the full 2 minutes, but it's there for you. Let's hear it.
So I went for Tomb Raider, not the Angelina Jolie ones from a while back, but the latest one from 2018, I think it was.
I think it's older than that, but yeah.
Is it?
I don't know. It feels like it's older than that. Christ, 2018 does feel like about 10 years ago though. So. I'd say
it's about 4-ish years ago.
I'll pop up on the screen now the actual time that it came out. But anyway, I'm taking up your time. Sorry.
2018. Watch it pop up on the screen. But I just thought, obviously, the first few films I didn't think much of. I just thought they were a bit sort of the gimmicky. They made it just because they were trying to do a cash in. But I thought the actual Tomb Raider film, the latest one, I thought that she played the role really good. I think it's Alicia who played it, who played Lara Croft. I just thought it were like a bit more dark, and the settings were good, and I just thought it did the Tomb Raider thing like really well. Obviously, there's a few predictable bits, all like these treasure hunting films, like your Indiana Jones and your National Treasure and God knows what else. But I just thought, as a tie into a video game, I thought the casting were perfect, and I just thought the settings were perfect, and I just thought it were really good. I think this is going to be more like a trilogy set, so there's going to be a few more films with her as Lara Croft. I just thought, as a start to a little section of having these films, I just thought it was a really good introduction, and I think that next ones will be better. even better than this one. And I just think it was all round, because Tomb Raider, it's one of them games that's a bit predictable into films. I think it's just like I said, it's easy to make a film because it's different, and you've got it was different back in the day. You have like a female role that's not as it weren't as popular back then for some bizarre reason. But now Lara Croft is mainstream, and I think that they brought her back to do these films. I just thought it was a really good good introduction to it.
Right, nice one. Right, well, I gave you a little bit extra there because I did interrupt you a little bit. I think that was a good opening statement. So, Steve, what was your answer to the best adaptation? Crack on.
I mean, I think we're all going to agree, as well as in the comments, that it's going to be House of the Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, U-Bowl's version of it, I can't even do it seriously. God, that was an awful film. Absolutely awful. That is definitely not my choice. Fun fact though, despite how awful it is, it's still made about $2 million
Wow.
worldwide.
Wow.
So, how? Pass. Anyway, serious note now is the first Resident Evil film, the not any remakes, it was the original 2002 version with Mila Jovovich. Apologies if I butchered her name.
No, that's right.
I think, although we've all played the very first Resident Evil game, where the voice acting was comparable to House of the Dead, especially about Jill sandwiches, I think how they portrayed it and how they adapted it to although it was based on the game, they made it its own and made it, albeit there's been 1,000,001 different sequels to that series. That particular one was brilliant, and Michelle Rodriguez in that as well. The sort of, I think that was her third feature film that she'd done, and she was brilliant in that, and now she's just come out to be a hard nut in quite a lot of different other films as well as doing some voiceover work as well. She's been in The True Crime Driver, Halo 2, so it's brought quite a lot of good actors out, as well as bring to life sort of one of the most iconic games, I think, of the PlayStation generation in total.
Okay, well, that's it then. Yeah, happy with your 2 minutes then?
Yep.
All right then. So, we've heard it. We've got Resident Evil, the Mila Jovovich one, against Tomb Raider, the more modern one. Fight.
I must admit, I am glad you went with the more modern one, Ryan, because this would have been an absolute dead in the water contest of me winning it if you hadn't. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like
you know what? I enjoyed the
um,
original ones. As silly as they were good popcorn.
I think the older ones were bearable because I think we're a younger age, and I think because it were new, it would, regardless of how bad it were, you enjoyed it because it was Tomb Raider.
And
I just think this one,
tight shorts, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think this one, it's just what I wanted a Tomb Raider game to be. If you had to, you could tell you were watching Tomb Raider. I know obviously Resident Evil, it's Resident Evil because there's zombies in it. But as cheese goes, it's up there with being a big dirty cheese sandwich. Where this Tomb Raider weren't cheesy at all. It was just Tomb Raider done well. It had its gritty moments in. Relationship with a dad in it, I thought were good. Obviously, spoilers might come out here. Obviously, it went missing, and then she went to this island and found him and stuff. Oops, I dropped my pad. Where it were more. It's just a better written film. Obviously, this is not to be against games, Tomb Raider against Resident Evil. As the film goes, I just thought it was a well-paced film, and the action bits in it. She weren't armed up to teeth; she just had a pickaxe, and then eventually got a bow. She takes a beating in it; she gives it back. No terrible sort of dialogue, no over-the-top jumping action scenes with grenades blowing off everywhere. It was just an action-packed film, a tasteful action-packed film that was just done really well.
It were done well, and it is a case that when we've talked about adaptations, they actually got the main actress and the character bang on, to be fair. It looked brilliant casting.
Oh, and
Whereas
Steve
I
just
think,
punched himself in the face in this fight.
hang on, I haven't finished yet. Well, I think while they've sort of stuck to the story as such, with the Resident Evil one, they've given that sort of artistic creation and being able to go a little bit outside the box with what the game is. And to be honest, if the actual first game was what the film was, I think that would have worked equally as well, if not better. I know that's going to be a polarising comment, I know that one. But for me, I think that would work as well as a game in itself, the actual film version, with different things that you have to do and the sort of the ways around stuff. And there is quite a lot of decent action in it. And yeah, there's going to be elements of sort of a lot of CGI and realism just based on the actual topic at all, whereas Tomb Raiders can be a bit more realistic based on that story's background. But for me, I just think it's an iconic series, and for that film itself, obviously Mila Jovovich were brilliant in it. I think Michelle Rodriguez were good in it as well. And I just think it brought it to life when it was starting to where it was a joke because of films like House of the Dead. So,
I just think as films go, like story-wise, it's just all a bit predictable and daft. Where this Tomb Raider, it's like you see Laura. Obviously, if you've seen film, she's a bit naive. She gets beaten up in gym, like a boxing ring. She's like I said, naive. She's lost her dad, and then turns into Lara Croft basically, from like I said, this girl in London looking for work, whatever. Eventually, doing what she does best, goes on these little hunts, treasure hunts, finds her dad, and yeah, like I say, starts film as just like, what's the word? Yeah, just a bit down and a bit like don't really know herself, and she finishes it as Lara Croft, ready for next film. And I think that's just, there's something about it. It's just more. It's not as in your face as Resident Evil. What is it now? Resident Evil 10, whatever it is now.
Yeah, that's with you. I'll give you that. I mean, in terms of what you mentioned about Lara Croft's story arc in that film, Alice's story arc is fairly similar, where she's developing herself and then it's opening up to what's going to come next in the next 10 sequels that she ends up going through.
Yeah, but don't forget that Lara Croft's British as well, and to me, anything that's British always stands out as being, I want it to be better because it's British, and Lara Croft obviously is British, and I just think that.
All right, Steve, closing comment.
I have just simply got 2 words to counteract that argument. Boris Johnson.
Oh, fuck. Ooh, that was a sucker punch right at the end there. That was, to be fair, you've both picked what were probably my choices as well. If I had to choose the top 2, the first Resident Evil for me was definitely the best of the Resident Evil live adaptations. I've not seen Welcome to Raccoon City yet. I've not heard good things, but I've not seen it, so I'll hold judgment on that. But I really did enjoy the first Resident Evil film, and yes, I agree, Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez were brilliant in it. I like the zombies, I like the story, but I'm gonna have to give the point to Ryan with the Tomb Raider, because I think the fact that they stuck more to the source material without copying it. I mean, Resident Evil did do its own thing. It created brand new characters, which I'm fine with, but it didn't really give me as much as what Tomb Raider did. I think she was well cast, and I think she was a really good Lara Croft. And like Ryan says, the journey throughout was believable. I like the grittiness of it. I know it was made at a different time from the original Resident Evil, but I'm sorry, Steve, I'm going to have to award that point to the superior Tomb Raider film. But that was a close. I don't want to do a cop out and have a tie in the first episode, so I'm going to give that point to Ryan. Because I genuinely think that was there was a better argument with her journey and the fact that she's British, despite the Boris Johnson comment in there.
Just to say though, I think the actress that played is probably Swedish or something, but it's a British role.
Yeah,
the British institution.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job. That actress. Although, again, what I would have probably, I'm a moderator, I don't get involved too much in the argument myself, but one of the things I would have probably pointed out was the disadvantage for the film was that they didn't actually use the voice and motion capture actress that they used in the game, because she looked just like Lara Croft and she's doing the work anyway. I understand, but I think that could have been something that might have swayed me as well, because don't forget, you're not just supporting your own argument, you're trying to discourage the other person's. But all in all, yeah, I think so. The first ever game fights with 2 points to 1 goes to Team Ryan. So yeah, congratulations. You win absolutely nothing except for accolades and hopefully a few likes on this video. So congratulations.
Well deserved.
Well played, good sir. Well played.
Yeah.
It is. I enjoyed it.
Good. Well, guys, thank you so much. I had a really fun recording this, and I hope you guys watching it are enjoying the multi-camera setup. I hope you're enjoying the mascots that are here to represent them because they couldn't be here in person. Hopefully, if this one does well, I will do at least one more of these. So I don't know what we'll do next time, if we'll manage to get them here in person, or if we'll just have them record on their phones. It's a little awkward, obviously, because people don't want to film in their own houses like I do. I don't give a damn. But hopefully we'll have them in some kind of live version for you guys in the next episode. But I had so much fun. We might switch it around next time. I might be one of the contestants and we'll have one of them as moderator. Let me know what you think. And of course, if you guys got any questions that you'd like us to ask in future episodes, let me know down below in the comments. And also let me know, do you agree with A, the answers they give, and B, my decisions? So let me know down below in those comments. I'll see you all on the next episode coming very soon. Bye.